but then they didn't put anybody around him. So now it's LeBron and a bunch of unproven guys. And even, these trades they made for Muscala, recently and whatnot, they gave up a lot for him. They traded Zubac, who's my favorite of these young guys. They traded Zub, who had a ton of upside, and he's cheap. Now he's over on the Clippers, still showing up. I mean, his first Clippers game, he had 12, 9, and 3 blocks. We could add that still. And Muscala can shoot, but he's not solving all our problems. So I feel like Magic is kind of at that point where Laker fans are starting to kind of get worried that he may not be the answer that Jeannie Buss or, all Laker fans thought he might be for fixing the team. And that might be a bigger problem than anything.
And I think I think going into this, at least in my eyes, I knew this was going to be a project because you're able to bring LeBron in, but you really don't have any other pieces. You bring in Rondo, you bring in Lance Stevenson. I thought bringing in Lance Stevenson was a joke, but Lance Stevenson though is a pest. That's his role. His role is to be Deshaun Stevenson, if you remember from the Mavs run.
From the Mavs,
is to shoot threes and get in people's faces and irritate people, and that's the game. So I figured this was going to be a project. I think Lakers fans, I got Mo Cheese who's in the chat room who's a Lakers fan. I think you just give Magic some time, and I think the Pelicans were butthurt. When Anthony Davis said, "I gave everything I could to this city, I'm ready to go." At that moment, the Pelicans said, "We won't accept any trades." I think in that GM's mind, he just said, "I'm not going to accept anybody's trades. I'm upset. I'm butthurt. I don't want to allow this guy to leave, even though he's going to leave." So to me, Anthony Davis gave you prime opportunity to make a trade. You decided not to. So whatever happens to the Pelicans, that's their fault at the end of the day. That's going to be whatever the end result for them is. I
agree.
Fault.
I also think we got to go back to football. The optic of it, if the Saints in New Orleans got robbed in that Rams game by the LA Rams, and then a week later you're dealing away your superstar basketball player to the LA Lakers, I just think the optics of that would be terrible for New Orleans and their fans. So I'm sure the Pelicans considered all that in their decision or in their strategy. You can't take 2 L's in a row to LA because, not that New Orleans isn't a great city. Anybody that's been there knows it's a lot of fun. It's a great town, great people, got a lot of heart. But they're surely a small market team in any sport that has kind of an underdog mentality and an underdog spirit in their fan base compared to us out here in LA that know we're living in paradise, know that we got 7, 8 pro franchises. Lakers aren't having a good year, we'll go watch the Clippers play.
Right,
we got college football dynasties, we've got great baseball teams that make the World Series. We got a lot going on. Plus we got beautiful weather all the time. We're not dealing with a lot of the same problems, with the hot weather down in the south and the floods and all that. I guess we did have some wildfires and whatnot this year, but in general, we're not going through as much weather conflict. So I think that was part of it too. But I agree with you. I think New Orleans has just done a terrible job of building their team for a number of years. Like you said, they've had him in his prime, and he has been in his prime for years now. And they've had so many opportunities to build around him. And I guess the one dap you'll give them is they got Boogie Cousins, and he surely was decent till he got hurt. And you can't blame them for the fact that he tore an ACL. But that was the only big move they've made. And I guess even Boogie, as much as I think he has a ton of upside, he also has a ton of downside. And we all know the downside is that Boogie's crazy and can go crazy at any moment. And torpedo your momentum just as easily as he can add to it. So that was kind of a risky move anyway, even with all his talent. Boogie's definitely not emotionally that stable most of the time. So compared to Anthony Davis, who's so stoic with his emotions, I don't feel like Boogie's even in the same area code as far as, emotional intelligence and mental toughness. So I don't see that as like a perfect pairing. I see that as kind of an odd coupling, if you will. So, again, I don't think New Orleans is a real shrewd basketball city. And I think that's why it's going to be hard for them to build a team anyway, but through the draft. And I think that they're kind of probably dreaming the dream of dealing him to Boston. But again, if you do that to your star player who has been so loyal to you guys, even came back and signed with you after he could have bailed the first time, if you do that to him when he's made it clear and his family's made it clear that they do not want to go to Boston, and if he goes, it's a one-year rental, then that shows your true character as an organization, and any other player in the league is not going to want to go there. You are going to have a hard time selling people on your character after that. So if you're listening, New Orleans, I don't necessarily think send him straight to L.A., even though he wants to go to L.A., but if you send him to Boston, you've made it clear that you don't care about his feelings at all. And he said there's a couple other teams on his list. I think you might want to look at that list a little more before you just up and send him to Boston for those sexy draft picks you want so bad.
Yeah, and Danny Ainge, man. Danny Ainge has been holding on to these draft picks. He's had these in his pocket. He's had these in his pocket like some old condoms that he just had in his pocket for years. He's had these in his pocket for so long. And they were talking about Anthony Davis is the one he want to go to Boston. So, I mean, it's like, what is Danny Ainge going to do with these picks? Because he's been sitting on them. One of them, he got Jason Tatum. I know he got some picks from a previous trade. But I got to give it up to Danny Ainge real quick. Just what he's been able to do with this Boston team has been crazy.
I've always liked Danny Ainge because when I was a kid, I told you I grew up in Portland originally, and all we had were the Blazers. And Danny showed up and played on the Blazers in our 92 championship run where we lost to the Bulls. And he was our sixth-man shooting guard that came in for Terry Porter. And I remember Ainge was always a little bit less talented than Terry Porter, little bit slower, not quite as mentally tough, definitely got hot-headed a lot. But Danny Ainge played his heart out all the time, and he could get real hot with the hand too and shoot well, kind of like a poor man's Steve Kerr or something. And I always admired him. I admired him as a player when he went on to other teams after that, and I admired his history with the Celtics and everything. I feel like as a player, he's the type of guy who, when he's on your team, he's the mascot. When he's on the other team, he's the one you hate. But, yeah, he's really been a shrewd and savvy GM. I'll give him that much. But you said, what does he do with those draft picks? Ben, I'll tell you what he does with them. Hang on to them and use them, guys.
Yeah.
Build your team out of youth. Quit trying to get Kyrie Irving's corpse and all these other people. Start building for the future, guys. Tatum was a great pick.
Yeah,
get a couple more Tatum. Build a whole squad full of Tatum. Don't trade them away. That makes more sense than trading them all for Davis, who doesn't want to be there, or some other quick fix move that's not truly going to solve your problem. Use them.
It's going to be a rental.
That's what I would do. Right.
A couple
like
of comments.
I said, it sends a message to the league. You don't want to let people go where they want to go. And the players notice that.
Right. Real quick, shout out to DJ Knox in the building. He had a great show, like I just mentioned earlier. Did a tribute to Whitney Houston, so you guys can go back and listen to that. Also, a couple of comments here. Antoine Smitty Smith says Kyrie will end up in L.A. with LeBron. What do you think about that?
I can see it, man. I mean, you see Kyrie laying the tracks for it already by calling LeBron up and apologizing for bailing on him and talking about how he definitely doesn't know Boston anything and all that. I mean, he's already kind of getting his exit strategy in order. I think the only thing Lakers fans should think about is, do we really need Kyrie as injury-prone and high-maintenance as he is? I think it might be wiser to find a point guard like, say, Kemba Walker, who's going to be available in the summer, and also look to Klay Thompson, who has made it clear he'd probably jump down here. I mean, Kemba, Klay, Kuzma, LeBron, and then get, a Boogie or go after AD again. That's a squad. I don't think we need Kyrie jacking up all the shots he's going to jack up every night and getting jacked up physically too. Because, I mean, you see they were up, 68-42 on the Clips, and then Kyrie got hurt again, and the Clippers came back. when he's healthy, he's a priceless piece of the puzzle, but he hasn't been staying healthy for years now. I mean, he got hurt, and that was the reason that the Warriors beat the Cavs that year.
That knee is a concern. That knee is a true concern. I thought he was good. I thought the knee injury was over with, but now it looks like this could be rearing its ugly head up again.
Well, he's been hurt since college, right? I mean, he pretty much came into the league injured when he got drafted. He was already a question mark. So, yeah, I mean, and granted, there are plenty of people that come back from injuries and whatnot, and I don't want to cast any aspersions on somebody because they've been hurt or whatnot. But if I'm trying to build a team and a core that's able to go on and, compete for years to come, I don't know if I take the 30-something-year-old guy, or I guess he's not quite 30, but a pushing 30 guy that's always kind of seeming to pull up gimpy. I think I would go with a guy like Kemba Walker, who seems like he's never hurt and is just a pit bull, and he can shoot and score. And he definitely wants out of Charlotte, and I think he'd be a great fit in LA too. And granted, I don't have any real hate towards Kyrie either. I think he's a lot of fun to watch, and I always enjoyed watching him play with the Cavs and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know if I would definitely bet the farm on him because he's going to be a ton of money and a lot of maintenance, right. Emotionally and physically. I don't know if I'd do that if I were Lakers. But then again, I'm not Magic Johnson, that's for sure.
Right.
He kind of does whatever he does.
Right. But man, Tucker, I appreciate you, man, for coming on the show. I'm glad we were able to make it happen. Tucker Dale Booth on Twitter, so you can be on top of all of the amazing things that he's doing. Check out the D-Tour coming up this season. Like he said, he's going to be credited on the show. So make sure that you follow and find him on social media so you can be on top of everything he's doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben. I'll do a couple quick shout-outs before I roll out, man. Definitely shout-outs to you and bringing me on. Shout-outs to the Mitchell Report out of Canada, Rory and the gang up there. Be sure to follow the Mitchell Report. Rudy Reyes, the Rude Dog Show, now out of Denver, Colorado. Featured on there quite a bit as his co-host. Shout-outs to Ali's Attic up in Canada. Shout-outs to Girls Beer Sports Podcast out of Lexington, Kentucky. Got a lot of people that are giving love, man. I got to give love to all of them. Oh, and Florence Carmella from FlorenceCarmella.com and Jim Jack Sports Media, the forum show that have had me on. Thank you to all those people. And then my record label, if you guys want free music, we've got a ton at Tantrum Niche. That's Tantrum like a temper tantrum, NICHE.com, TantrumNiche.com. Every single album up there, including my own, is entirely free for download. We exist entirely off of your donations on the PayPal link there, but we'd rather that you check our music out for free than worry about sweating every penny. So again, go to TantrumNiche.com. Tell them Tucker sent you. I definitely think you'll dig all the music up there. But again, thanks for having me, Ben, bro. Really appreciate it. Hope to do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely will. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Peace.
All right, you too. Peace.
Later.
All right, that was my man Tucker Dale Booth on the show. We got our next guest up on the show, Paul Davis. We got Paul Davis on the show. How's it going today?
Hey, how are you, Ben?
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you for reaching out and coming on the show. Once again, Paul Davis. You can find him on Fiverr. And we're going to talk to Paul Davis about financial independence. I will put the link in the chat room, but the link is fiverr.com/1MFI2018. So I'll put that link in the chat room so you guys can see it and find it. But we'll be talking about financial independence. But first off, I want to say you're wealthy, financial independent, no boss, no job, no hassles. Talk about how you got to this point.
Sure, no problem. So a little ways ago, I kind of started, but I didn't really know I was starting. And that was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And, just a little bit of background on me. I live in the Bay Area. I live in Oakland, and I've been living here basically all my life, travel around and whatnot. But pretty much I like Oakland, so I stayed here. And So I have had a lot of experience in investing